Hi, welcome to another episode of the Bitcoin Morning Brief. I'm Leah Walden. I'm going to be hosting today. Tone, how's New York City?
Oh, it's great. It's a nice day. Weather's getting really nice now.
Awesome. All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to start with the latest news in Germany. Okay, so I think this is really fantastic story. So Germany, blockchain service Bitwala introduces crypto-first banking. So, I mean, as we know, it's so difficult in the States to open up a bank account with so many screwy things going on with our banks, which is why I love GBTC, because it's so easy to buy. With the story, they talk about how Germany is seemingly opening up their arms to allow this banking, credit cards, Swift wire service, intergovernmental, all linked together. So, Tone, I guess, with such a powerful company as Germany, how will this affect other countries?
Well, you mean country, but yes.
Yeah. Or the EU in general, but yeah,
But
Germany.
yeah. So basically, again, like these stories are totally jumping the gun, right? At least for me, they are. So basically, oh, you want to throw this
Yep,
focus
there's just
back
a
on
bit
there?
of a lag,
All
but
right,
it's coming
cool,
up.
got it. So like they tried this already with Visa and it totally failed, right? Because Visa said no. And now they're trying it again with MasterCard. Like it doesn't mean that MasterCard is going to agree to this, right? Like it can fly under the radar for like a month or two, which is actually worse, right? Because when you have companies that think they're able to provide like a real Bitcoin debit card, and they're like, oh my God, it's working. We have all these people. And then the Visa comes out and says, no, you can't do that. I don't understand why they expect MasterCard to be all that much different unless they've already had chats with MasterCard and they're like, hey, you guys want to make more money because Visa are being stupid about innovation, you guys can do it, right? So just because they've switched from Visa to MasterCard for their debit cards, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to succeed. I think the hype over this is a little premature, and let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah. Also, another thing I found interesting, though, right, is that like they're calling the blockchain banking, but they're allowing other cryptos, right? So, to your point, do you think that, how do you think that this would probably be dangerous that they're doing Bitcoin, but also the other cryptos?
Well, that's only dangerous to like Bitwala. That's not really dangerous to like the from the bank side and from well, there's a couple of things here, right? It's a little bit confusing because this company is going to offer bank accounts that are insured up to 100,000 euros. And I'm not sure exactly what that means because if I have my money in crypto, am I still insured up to 100,000 euros, right? Or do I have to convert it to the fiat first? Uh, so that's fine as far as like if they can get approval from Mastercard in order to use cryptocurrencies, it's irrelevant to like Mastercard what kind of currency Bitwala is using on the front end if they're the back end, because it's just dollars or euros that are going to go into the merchant's bank account. But as the company like Bitwala, they're probably just trying to compete, right? I mean, there is a 10x is another one that's trying to do this. Now, 10x is a scammy way of doing this because they ICO'd. So I don't see them lasting much longer, but at least they have, a lot of money to throw at this, right? Because they ICO'd, they have their, they got a bunch of money coming in, and we'll get to ICOing later on in the show. So, I mean, I think it's silly to add altcoins because of the insecurity of altcoins. I mean, Ethereum gets hacked all the time. You have absolutely no control. At least with Bitcoin, you kind of have way more confidence that Bitcoin itself is not going to be hacked, or the probability of Bitcoin being hacked is infinitely smaller than the probability of, say, Zcash being hacked or Litecoin being hacked. So I think it's kind of stupid on the part of the card provider to offer you altcoins, but hey, they have to compete with other dumb projects because their competitors are offering you altcoins. And there you go. And also, a lot of these decisions came a few months ago when Bitcoin transactions were A, slow, and B, expensive. And neither of that is true anymore. So you can go back to Bitcoin. Of course, once you go back to Bitcoin, there could be another spam attack, which will make Bitcoin once again expensive and slow. But the probability of that is smaller because, again, of Segwit and Lightning, which we're going to get to later on the show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it could be very dangerous if this does fail for the rest of the, our countries around the world to try to figure it out.
Like as far as I'm concerned, every single attempt to do a Bitcoin debit card has failed. At the least, it has failed to bring it to American citizens, which are the biggest users of these of Bitcoin. And second, they completely fail in the anonymity department because all of them are even more KYC'd than any other form of payment, right? So, like, I don't understand this fascination with Bitcoin debit cards. I have seen this since 2013. Since I joined this space, someone has been pitching me a Bitcoin debit card. They've all failed in my eyes. Like, no one has succeeded yet.
Yeah.
Just like remittance with crypto, they've all failed. No one has yet succeeded.
It's definitely true. And it's funny because that's always talked about. All right, let's move to a new country, Russia. All right, so I'll start with the top. Sorry, there's a little bit of a lag, but so Russia Municipal Court in St. Petersburg rules to unblock 40 Bitcoin-related websites. I think it's just hilarious because obviously they just can't seem to stop it, right? Business just keeps going to another country. So in my eyes, what Russia's doing here is just, they started banning it and now they're unbanning it. Now that they're unblocked the websites, what do you think this means for Russia?
Nothing. Again, like I thought this was silly when it happened. We covered this when it happened. Like, Russia blocks a bunch of Bitcoin websites. I mean, it kind of sucks. You can't get to certain websites, but hey, China blocks Facebook. China blocks even Google, and life seems to go on. Russia should have never blocked these websites to begin with. And now they've unblocked them. So Russia is doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I'm not really going to give them praise for doing it. Just like I don't really give praise to Coinbase for adding Segwit. They were supposed to do that 6 months ago. I don't really want to spend too much time on this unless you have another comment. But I mean, it's good news, but it should have never been news at all.
No other comment. I couldn't agree more. I think it's funny, but yeah, I mean, it completely makes sense. So good. All right, let's keep going with this. So this I'm happy about.
Hey, don't be too happy. Yeah. You already have enough trolls.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Well, I'm happy. Well, I'll tell you why I'm happy. But so for anyone who's listening, rather than able to see this on their browser, subpoenas signal SEC crackdown on ICOs. The part about this piece is, there's nothing too specific about the SEC. They're not naming people or companies. But what I am happy about, right, is when Clayton testified before the Senate committee, it seemed that he was very favorable towards Bitcoin, even with his nice little comment about hodling. So in that regard, I'm happy that, at least they're trying to go after these scammy, fraudulent ICOs. So go Bitcoin on that. So question to you, do you think that this really means that the SEC can go back to the ICOs that are already existing and those that brought them and really do something about it, though?
I mean, I think not only can they, I think that they will. Did you watch those hearings, by the way? Because I didn't.
Yes, I thought they were fun.
Okay. So the one thing that I've heard from those hearings and also mentioned in the article, so basically, not only are they going to go after the ICOs, they're going to go after the lawyers and the advisors of these ICOs. And I think that's accurate. I think the lawyers and a lot of these advisors are, doing not doing a very good job, right? And I've had some lawyers on the show. In fact, I'm setting up another lawyer to talk to me about this particular situation with the latest, noise coming out of the SEC. That will probably be an on the record episode early next week, probably Monday, because I have Richard Hart coming on Friday. So I pushed the lawyer chat to Monday, and we're going to talk about this. So a lot of the lawyers that have been advising these ICOs, they're going to get into a lot of trouble. Same thing with advisors, probably with PR firms as well. So if you are a lawyer or an advisor that took payment in the ICO itself, I think that you may be in serious, serious trouble. So I recommend you to speak to a lawyer, like a real lawyer, not yourself who got yourself into this mess. So I think this is going to end badly, because I think the SEC is recognizing how the lawyers and a lot of the advisors have taken full advantage of the situation and facilitated this nonsense. So the biggest problem comes in this form. And this is why the SEC is going to crack down.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think it's interesting that, I think that the lawyers that were doing this, as well as the advisors, either were very dumb or just wanted to make loads of money. I think it's more the latter, and actually did know potentially, what they were doing, what they were very much so, and just took advantage of the situation. I think that the smart lawyers and from firms that knew that they, definitely wanted to protect themselves. Well, actually, I don't know, I kind of retraced myself, actually. Potentially they also were involved and just did it in a way that made sure that legally they were also protecting themselves. So I guess actually I'm just very curious how this is going to pan out. And when they finally mention, who was involved, I think it'll be a fun news story to see, just who was interested in making these ICOs and doing this fraudulent stuff.
Yeah, and we'll see. We're gonna see how it all ends, but it's not gonna end well, because the situation that the SEC is finding themselves now is because complete incompetent people, like they are like 20 years old, know nothing. They're ICOing and they're making hundreds of millions of dollars for the product that they want to do. And there could be a very competent company that's doing the same product, and that company may even be publicly listed or doing everything by the book. And that company is way more competent, but they now are $200 million behind in, getting people. They're like huge competitive advantage when you can get 200 million from unqualified investors. So that creates this weird dynamic where companies that are already in business are almost forced to also go ICO to capitalize on, hey, my competition know absolutely nothing, yet they have $200 million to use for this, and they're gonna basically outcompete us. Because idiots gave them 200 million. So this forces traditional companies to go this route. This also forces every other company to go this route. And it's not really going to work, right? So either way, the hammer will be coming down. You just got to, if you ICO, they can't arrest everyone, right? I mean, that's obvious. So you just got to hope that you are either too big of a fish, like Ethereum, and something that may be a little bit beyond their reach at this point, because you've grown too big, or you're a little too small for them to care, though the SEC does go after small fish when it's very easy for them. Like if it's a small fish that didn't file the right paperwork, they'll get you, right? So if you're somewhere in between, you got to be real, real careful.
Yeah, okay. Last comment question, just back to our first comment about his testimony. And I think, again, it's strengthening Bitcoin and moving forward, right? As you very well know, CFTC was the one that approved the commodity exchange and the contract for CME, and the SEC approved on CBOE, obviously trading Bitcoin options. Now they're working together, Carlo and Clayton, but it's only Bitcoin. And so I do think that this will strengthen Bitcoin and potentially weaken all the other cryptos that I see out. And in my eyes, that's awesome. Do you think that in the future, just that it will or won't?
I think how I like the only good thing I see about this whole thing is the fact that Andreas Antonopoulos is an advisor for the CME, right? So he could be pulled into that room, because you have to realize, because if Vitalik Buterin gets pulled into that room, everything goes to shit. Okay. So it really depends on who is the advisor for the SEC or the SEC, right? I mean, you want to be the scammer in that room to convince the government that your scam is legit. So as long as Andreas is in that room, I'm happy. If you pull an Ethereum co-founder in there, or somebody like Paul Snow for some crazy reason continues to speak in front of Congress with his Factum scam, we got a problem.
All right, one last question, and I swear we'll move on. Given our story that we did 2 days ago, it does seem like some states are running counter to what the feds are doing right now. What do you think on that?
They are, but as I mentioned it before, I don't think it matters all that much, because this is way more federal jurisdiction than state jurisdiction. Like, I just don't see how states make that much of a difference. I mean, the state may want to, it's kind of like the marijuana issue, only like a little worse than that, right? Like here's an example. It's like Arizona is trying to pass a law saying, hey, Bitcoin can be a currency here, or crypto can be a currency here. You can pay your taxes with Bitcoin in Arizona. But if Bitcoin is deemed illegal federally, you have to be a complete fool to go pay your Arizona taxes, even state taxes, with Bitcoin, because you just broke federal law and your name is out there, right? So the feds can show up at your door and say, excellent, thank you for being a good citizen and paying your Arizona taxes. Now here are these handcuffs, right? Because you're a Bitcoin user and Bitcoin is illegal federally, right? So again, like state law, like federal law will completely trump federal law on money transmission and securities. It really is that simple. It's a way, and it's way easier for them to go after you than marijuana, because way less people use Bitcoin than marijuana. So again, there's a lot less people to go after, and they can pick and choose. So you got to be real careful. Like I know you want to be a rebel, especially when your state says you can be, but you have to be mindful of federal law. Like just be like, I don't exactly like, I don't really smoke weed. Maybe I should, but I don't really know how it works. But if you live in Colorado or DC, where weed is now legal, I'm pretty sure your federal job is not going to be very kind to you smoking weed, right? I'm sure you can't like show up at your federal job. You can't really show up at any job high, but I'm pretty sure that federal jobs, even if you smoke, on the weekends and they find out, you'll probably be fired, right? Because you're still breaking federal law and you're working a federal job.
Yeah, I mean, you'd absolutely be fired in your equip to even get your secret TS, top secret, SCI, any of it. You actually have to specifically mention each time that you've done any drug, and that includes marijuana. Marijuana is actually like their big one that they cracked down on. So 1000% on that point. All right, let's move on. So cool, Segwit, 30% is insane. I mean, as we know, when Segwit came out, we couldn't get over 10%. Now it's tripled. Tone, I'll just let you go into this.
Sure. You can pull up that the Segwit.party website if you have it.
I do. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so there it is. So we are now at 30%. This is mostly due to Coinbase, but Coinbase also started batching transactions, which greatly unspammed the mempool. They've also added Segwit. I mean, we're dipping a little bit, but that's okay. That was probably the consolidation part. We're missing one more big company from this, blockchain.info. And I think like 3 or 4 months ago, I like almost cursed out the blockchain.info CEO who, over a year ago, said they were Segwit ready. And blockchain.info is the biggest wallet in the space. So And they still haven't adopted Segwit as far as I know. So when blockchain.info adopts Segwit, and it's going to be hard for blockchain.info to adopt Segwit because, again, their biggest investor is into Bcash. So once blockchain.info finally adopts Segwit, this will shoot over 50%. And then I really can't see the mempool being, clogged for a long time.
Awesome. Do you have anything else to note? I think it's just great. I don't have anything to say on it.
No, that's it. Hey, you know what? Because you're using earbuds. Hey guys, new equipment is coming. I know the sound issue. We're gonna do this on live air. Hey, check the settings in Google Hangouts and make sure you're using your Snowball mic because it's a more expensive mic than mine. So I don't understand why. I don't know. We got like people with sensitive ears. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm too laid back for podcasting. Like I sound just fine to me. Okay, so I'm gonna do the price. Check your settings. Make sure the Snowball mic is being used. Yeah, we have good mics, guys. It's we're working on the sound issues. Relax. We'll get there. All right, I gotta do screen share.
Cool.
All right, here we go. So I did another video late last night before going to bed. This is the first time I'm seeing the Bitcoin charts. I have not looked at this at all. I went to sleep, woke up, read over the stories, and here we are. I'm assuming I'm on the big screen. Yep, there I am. And so the weekly chart is still in this neutral position, right? I'll talk more about this probably later today when I do my trading Bitcoin show. And we are doing well, but still very, very neutral on a weekly basis. The daily chart is looking better, but again, we've seen this movie play out before, as early as yesterday, right? Yesterday in the afternoon, we were trading not only above the trend line, we were also trading above the 128-day moving average and above the 50-day moving average. So at one point yesterday, at its peak, we were trading above all three levels of resistance. Today, we are trading above two of those three levels. Now, the good news is the more times we attempt to break resistance, the more likely resistance is to break. But until we get a close on an end-of-day basis above each of these resistance points, and we can do them all in one day, and then open the next day and start trading above the high of the previous day, that's when I'm going to be bullish and optimistic. So right now, I will reserve my bullishness on Bitcoin until I see a close above this trend line that we're at literally right now at 10,700. Now, if we can close here, that's 2 out of the 5 resistance points broken. We will still have 3 more to go. So as we break these resistance points one by one, I become slowly optimistic about our chances to new highs, maybe all-time highs, but at least definitely tradable highs. So I would be very cautious right now about going long. Definitely don't go short, but I would be cautious about going long. But if you are going to go long, keep those trades small and keep your leverage small. The 4-hour chart is looking nice. According to the 4-hour chart, we did have, you can dip your toe into a bullish trade based on a 4-hour chart. The moment the last 4-hour candle started trading above the previous 4-hour candle at a price of 10,580 or so, right? Your stop loss is also very, very simple to identify, at least for me. So this is where you have to learn trading. Your stop loss would be right below the combination of swing low and 50-period moving average, which happens to be at $10,200. Okay, and the moment you get a pop to new swing highs, so we're talking the moment we break 11,000, you need to immediately raise that stop loss to potentially just above break even to make sure this trade cannot cost you any money on any kind of big fall. So the 4-hour chart is looking pretty bullish. I would like to see a new candle close, but right now I'm fairly optimistic on a 4-hour chart. The daily keeps me cautious, and the 1-hour chart hit a 9 3 hours ago. So I would wait for us to start trading with a green number higher than the prior green number. So in the next hour and a half, or I guess next hour, if we start trading above the current candle's high next hour, that would be a potential entry point based on a 1-hour chart. So your 1-hour chart is looking bullish. It's in line with the 4-hour chart. The daily chart is stuck at resistance, and the weekly chart is totally neutral. That's pretty much my outlook for Bitcoin. You're muted.
Still learning. Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for watching, and till tomorrow.
Bye, guys.